Hello, welcome to a discussion with Xtalks, home to the latest life science, food, and medical device news. My name is Vera, and today I'm happy to interview Laura Dunn Nelson, Vice President of Food Safety and Global Alliances at Intertek Alchemy. Hello, Laura, and welcome. Can you please tell us what motivated you to work in food safety and global alliances at Intertek Alchemy?
Yes, thanks, Vera, for that great question. And, it's interesting as I look at my career. I spent my early career as a microbiologist, and I became an auditor, and I would produce food safety audits at hundreds of companies in all different industry sectors. And so it was quite an interesting career. It was kind of early in the auditing stages, and there were some interesting themes and trends when I conducted those audits. And one of those is typically when there was a non-compliance, it had to do with an employee not doing something, right? There was something missed. Somebody didn't get a piece of equipment completely cleaned. Their definition of clean didn't quite jive or match, or they didn't take that temperature or respond appropriately based on the result of that temperature. They didn't document some paperwork that was important or critical. There was always something, and it had to do with employees not doing something. And yet when you dig a little deeper, and it was really obvious that employees wanted to do the right thing. They want to do the right thing, whatever they needed to do. But there was always this tension. Either they weren't properly trained to do what they were supposed to do, or they were given some conflicting information. They had maybe some other influencers there that said, well, really you need to spend time here on the conveyor belt looking at the quality product, and if you run out of time, that's okay. Or that's good enough. And so they had these competing focus, and it really boiled down to they didn't have the knowledge that they really needed and the confidence to do their job. And so the opportunity that was presented with Intertek Alchemy, that is the focus of Intertek Alchemy, is creating this really compelling training and training tools to really make sure that knowledge transfer is made by each and every employee. And then it's the overlay of additional tools beyond the classroom training, the traditional classroom training, and it to include things like behavior observations, where you're now confirming that they actually know the information that you train them in that classroom, and they're doing it on the plant floor as instructed. And when you bring those two things together, you really start to have a very strong impact in aligning of behaviors and following of your protocols and procedures. So that's really what drew me. I knew the gaps in the industry, and here's a company that reduces those gaps and helps those companies really provide that compelling training and making a difference both in the company's operations and with those employees.
Yeah, that's great. I agree. Without excellent training, nothing can really be accomplished. I was going to ask you, so in your role at Intertek Alchemy, what is the most rewarding thing, or what do you enjoy the most about your role there?
Yes, I probably need a little reflection on that, but I think there's not many people are afforded the opportunity to bring their bank of knowledge that they have and their skills that they've honed through their career, and their passions and where they want to impact the world, and bring that all together into one job. And I'm able to do that every day. And it's a joy because, Intertek Alchemy's mission is to ensure our customers' success by providing those innovative technologies and industry expertise that really engage those employees and empower those employees to perform at their very best. And of course, I've shared with you that's my passion. I share that. And so joining up my skills and my passions with a company that shares those is a great way. When we are able to help companies produce safe, quality products and excel in their business, and also keep their employees safe, so that those employees can thrive and have a wonderful life. That's what gets me up every day.
Great. So on Xtalks, webinars, you will be giving an upcoming webinar, and it's about building a mature food safety culture. So for those of us who don't know, what exactly is a food safety culture?
It's great. And you're not the only one, Vera, asking those questions. I think there's still a fair amount of the industry that thinks they know what a food safety culture is, and I think in practice may not. I'm gonna lean on some of the work that I did with the Global Food Safety Initiative, Food Safety Culture Technical Working Group. Back in 2018, we created a position paper, and I was part of a global food safety professional team, and we really worked hard at helping to define food safety culture for the industry and what were the components of that. And we spent a lot of time trying to wordsmith and define it. This is a big topic, and we defined it finally as shared values, beliefs, and norms, and that those affect the mindset and behaviors, both mindset and behaviors of those employees within the organization and throughout the organization. And so when you look at food safety culture, it's what happens in groups, not just in people. And it's the influencers that you have on that. As an industry, we have a lot of great regulations that help us understand what the must-haves, what we have to focus on. And then companies have taken those and created protocols and standard operating procedures and work instructions to take those and to integrate those to make sure their organization is producing safe, food. And so the question is, so where is that potential disconnect? And the disconnect is really within those behaviors. It's employee behaviors, because we've got to rely on those employees to execute all of those things. And it kind of goes back to my auditing days. We have, there's components of giving those people the right tools, reinforcing that, having management really focus on the importance of that, and also the approach that every company does have a culture already, and it's to what extent is the maturity of that culture. And that's really peeling the onion and understanding, and only then can you start to improve it.
Great. My final question for you today is, what are some of the biggest challenges that companies are having today with their food safety culture?
Fantastic question. And I'm excited to share with you that we just completed our 7th annual Global Food Safety Training Survey. And we asked this very question. We're very interested to know what are those biggest challenges. And we did this in partnership with Camden, and we do this, like I said, the last several years. This year, we had over 3,000 global food safety professionals respond, and representing 3,000 plus organizations. And the top the top obstacles that were cited include negative employee attitudes was number one. Number two was the high staff turnover, big challenge. And three was lack of effective communication. And I think this, of course, coming off of the pandemic and the challenges with COVID, that had a big impact on companies' food safety culture. I think, there was a lot of demands, unprecedented demands on the food industry over the last several years. And so that, that affects a culture. In addition to that, that high staff turnover, the great resignation, where people are really struggling to get the employees, retained. And a lot of times you're having your senior folks leave. And so you have that loss of knowledge of how to do some really critical protocols and procedures. And so those combinations really create a big challenge when you really need that continual aligned behaviors. So when you have operational challenges and pulls, I think it's evident that there's been some big challenges that companies face when they're trying to continually mature their food safety culture.
Great. Thank you so much for that insight today, Laura. And just want to mention to our listeners that Laura will also be giving an online webinar on Xtalks. The date of her webinar will be on Wednesday, April 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And the topic of her presentation then will be Build a Mature Food Safety Culture that Delivers Results Beyond Compliance with the Global Food Safety Initiative. So thanks so much, Laura, and we look forward to seeing you then.
Thanks, Vera. Looking forward to it.